I wonder if you could talk a little bit about your connection with Stoppard and what it's like to work with him, collaborate in a collaborative relationship, and also what those plays mean to you as a theater artist in your evolution.
Tom usually picks up a subject to write about because he doesn't know enough about it. And so his research is his way of learning, right? So it takes him 5 years to write a play, but that's because he first reads so many books in order to learn about the subject that he wants to explore in the play. So that's the intellectual part of it. But then inside of, I think of there inside of him is also really a romantic, and I think his characters are also always searching for some kind of emotional connection. In Invention of Love, you are looking at a husband who seems to be such a distant and difficult character to penetrate, but all his life he was in love with Jackson, who was a heterosexual man, and he moved away to Canada to be actually as far away from Houseman as possible because love of Houseman was very difficult for him to deal with. But, there was like unrequited love that Houseman was carrying inside of him for all his life. And that is so full inside of that play. That is so present. And if you don't look for those kind of deep emotions inside of his texts, you can end up with a lot of speeches and a lot of intellectual text. But there is always, always an emotional side to his plays. Well, that's what I want to say first. And secondary, Tom is always, at the very beginning when I got to know him, he when he came to Arcadia rehearsal and actors would ask him, do you have some advice for us, Mr. Stoppard? And he would say, oh, just say my lines. That's all I care about, right? But then, and now I'm going to the anecdote that you asked me to talk about, is that as he came to the heart problem, I already was working with my company, and we were doing one of the exercises that we do, and that is that the actors who now knew the scene did the whole scene in gibberish, in artificial language. So we are here. There is the most known playwright, sitting in the rehearsal with us, and we are doing completely without any shame, the whole scene in gibberish. And he's sitting on the edge of his seat, endless eyes are popping out. And then he says, this was exactly what I wrote.
I love that.
And that just made me laugh because it shows you that at the end, words are important, but actually what is more important is what is the action, what is happening, what is happening really underneath the words, right? So when we work with the actors, what we do is we kind of work almost like as anthropologists or archaeologists, I want to say even more, that we go from the surface, from the from the text that is already constructed, to finding maybe something in the sound of the words and the construction of the sentences, and we are trying to get it into our bodies through exercises first. And that maybe takes us somewhere deeper into an emotion. So rather than imposing an artificial emotions that we make up in our head and decide in our head what that could be, we are actually searching for it through more understanding the structure of the sentences and the sound of the words.